Behind the closed doors of Viking society, there existed a space where the true structure of daily life was maintained. Far from the battles, it was inside the houses that women ensured the continuity of the community. They organized resources, managed properties, decided the fate of the children, and preserved the culture. While the image of men was associated with the sea and battles, real survival depended on what happened inside these homes. The role of women was not accessory, but central, and without it, no Viking achievement would have been possible. When we think of Viking life, the first image that comes to mind is that of an armed warrior embarking on expeditions across the sea. But what happened when these men left? Who maintained order, protected the lands, and ensured the village continued to function? It was at this point that the role of women became indispensable. Inside the houses, they managed everything. They took care of food supplies, organized the harvests, supervised the servants, and made decisions on ongoing businesses. Often, they were responsible for inheritances and properties, exercising legal rights that still surprise historians today. Far from being passive figures, they became the foundation that supported the economy, family politics, and even the spiritual structure of the community. The true Viking power, behind closed doors, was in the hands of women. Viking women were not only responsible for household care, they were the guardians of the village. While men sailed or participated in expeditions, they made crucial decisions for the survival of the community. They controlled food resources, managed the storage of grains, meats, and dairy products, and supervised textile production essential for clothing, blankets, and sails. They were also responsible for maintaining social order, resolving internal disputes, and ensuring that children received proper education and discipline. In many situations, they could legally represent the family, signing contracts or managing inherited properties. Every gesture, every decision made within the home had a direct impact on the stability of the village. What seemed like routine to outsiders meant control, organization, and effective leadership behind closed doors.
When men departed for long journeys or raiding campaigns, the responsibility for the entire village fell on women. They coordinated all essential tasks to keep life running. They controlled food production, supervised the work of older children and servants, and ensured that the household economy continued uninterrupted. Additionally, they played a decisive role in crises. Illnesses, attacks, or family disputes were resolved under their leadership. The balance of the community depended on their daily choices, from the distribution of supplies to decisions about when to trade resources with neighboring villages. What seemed like simple routine was, in reality, a complex network of management and authority that kept the village safe and functional in the absence of men. Viking women's role was not limited to domestic management. It extended to the political and social realm of the community. Often, they made decisions about family alliances, strategic marriages, and the resolution of conflicts that could affect the entire village. Women who held properties or inherited land had legal authority to negotiate agreements and represent the family in local assemblies. Their counsel was respected, even in the absence of men, because their decisions directly impacted the survival and well-being of the community. In certain situations, they could intervene in larger disputes, influencing leaders and chiefs, and ensuring that the interests of the family and village were preserved. Viking political life, therefore, had an invisible, silent, yet indispensable layer, the power of women behind the scenes, shaping the destiny of all, without needing to wield weapons. Inside the home, Viking women performed essential spiritual and cultural functions. They were responsible for conducting domestic rituals, keeping ancestral customs alive that protected the family and reinforced the community's identity. They safeguarded sacred symbols, amulets, and talismans used to ward off illness, bad luck, or perceived dangers. Additionally, they transmitted knowledge about mythology, legends, and traditions, educating the children and youth of the village about expected behavior and group values. They were also the holders of techniques and practices that connected daily life to the spiritual, blessings before harvests, prayers for fishing, and preparations of homemade remedies based on herbs and rituals. Their presence in this space was not symbolic, it was practical and vital, ensuring that the culture, faith, and protection of the community remained intact, even when men were absent. Viking women played a crucial economic role in the community. When men went on expeditions, they conducted business, negotiating products, animals, and goods essential for the survival of the village. They managed exchanges with neighboring villages, decided prices and terms of trade, and ensured that resources remained sufficient for household needs and future harvests. Often, they legally represented the family, signing contracts and making decisions about inherited or acquired properties. Their ability to organize domestic trade and handle external negotiations was recognized and respected, ensuring that the village economy remained stable even in the absence of men. Every action taken by these women had a direct impact on the survival and prosperity of the community, showing that economic power, as well as political and social power, was in their hands. Viking women also performed spiritual functions and guided the fate of the community. Many were seers or interpreters of signs, analyzing omens and natural phenomena to guide important decisions. Their interpretation of natural cycles, the movements of the sun and moon, or even dreams and visions, influenced the planning of harvests, travels, and expeditions. They were consulted before major family or communal decisions, and their words could alter the direction of negotiations, alliances, and survival strategies. The knowledge they possessed, passed down from generation to generation, made them a reference in security, protection, and risk anticipation. The spiritual power of women was not only symbolic, it had a real effect on daily life and on decision-making that shaped the entire village. Silence inside Viking houses did not mean a lack of action. On the contrary, it was in this space that women exercised strategic control over village life. They constantly monitored resources, assessed risks, and anticipated problems before they became crises. Every decision, from the distribution of food to choosing who should take on specific tasks, was calculated to maintain order and efficiency. They discreetly managed family conflicts, resolving disputes before they escalated and threatened the stability of the community. Their influence was invisible to the eyes of outsiders, but determined the safety, well-being, and continuity of the entire village. The silent power of women within the home kept Viking life functioning even in the absence of warriors. At night, while the fire burned in the hearths of Viking houses, women assumed a fundamental role in preserving the culture and memory of the community. They recounted stories of ancestors, detailed historical events, and transmitted teachings about expected behaviors and social norms. Through these narratives, young people learn not only practical skills, but also values, codes of honor, and understanding of the world around them. Every story, every instruction had a purpose: to maintain the village's identity and prepare the next generation for future challenges. Without this continuous transmission of knowledge and experience, Viking traditions would not have survived, and social cohesion would have been compromised. The educational and cultural role of women was therefore essential for the continuity of the community. At the close of the daily cycle of the Viking village, the role of women was consolidated as indispensable. They not only maintained order within the home, but ensured the survival, prosperity, and stability of the community as a whole. Every decision made, every act of organization had a direct impact on the lives of men, children, and the entire village. Without them, the logistics of food, property management, child education, and even spiritual safety would have been compromised. Women were the nucleus that sustained the entire society, invisible in stories of conquest, yet vital for any victory to be possible. Their power was not seen in weapons, but in every strategic and decisive action that kept the village alive and functioning. The true secret of Viking life behind closed doors was not in battles, raids, or fame earned by men. It was in the daily and continuous action of women,
who organized, protected, and ensured the continuity of the entire community. Every stored food, every decision about properties, every teaching given to children or ritual performed had a direct effect on the survival and stability of the village. Without the active and decisive presence of these women, no expedition, no raid, and no victory would have been sustainable. They were the silent foundation of society, exercising real power invisibly, and their influence shaped all Viking life in a concrete, practical, and indispensable way.